Blessed be everybody, coming at you on Son of Selene, even though typically my non-specifically horoscope and forecast videos tend to show up on integrative mysticism. I thought for a change of pace I would do a special video on how I would recommend reflecting on my forecasts, whether they are weekly tarot forecasts or they are astrology. And so in this video, what we're going to do is I'm going to do basically a reaction and reflection video about how my week has gone based on what was talked about in the Virgo weekly tarot forecast for this last week, June 11th through June 18th, 2023. Now, just before we begin, I do want to remind people that I do old school psychic tarot. I am doing predictive readings. So it's better to watch the video and then see what shows up when I'm doing readings or you're getting readings from me. It's never a good idea to try and immediately relate it to a narrative or a situation going on in your present, especially if you're watching it days before a week even begins. I'm not the new age life coach guru in the penthouse. I am the old wizard in the woods, who just maybe looks good for his age, 37. Could you guess it? But this is how I approach looking back at my own readings for my week, and this is how I'd recommend looking at readings in general. And you're going to see how you can then adapt the way you're maybe again, comprehending the media and seeing how it can serve you in other ways, in more expansive ways than maybe trying to immediately relate to a current narrative or situation you're entrenched in. And remember, of course, you have free will, you have volition, you have agency, you have control over what you do when these things show up. And you can also apply this to your monthly astrology forecasts. I just didn't choose to do that because those videos tend to be a little bit longer, and so I went with the weekly instead. Anyway, so let's have a look and see how this week has gone for me in accordance with the Virgo forecast. And so I'm going to play the video here. I may or may not display it up on camera. I haven't decided yet. I'll figure that out in editing. But I'm going to tell you how my week has gone, and you'll see how these things can show up and where you might not want to hang on a reader's every word, and where it's important sometimes to take moments to reflect to see how things are showing up. And if you are learning tarot, whether you're following my Practical Tarot Tutor series or you are studying on your own, this can also be a great way to help you journal and understand how different cards can produce different situations or talk about different situations with different vocabulary that still come back to the same core meaning. So without further ado, let's have a look and see how my week has gone. Hey there, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. It's time to have a look and see what is going on when it comes to your weekly tarot forecast for the week starting June 11th, 2023. And your big spiritual theme, your big focus this week is the Three of Cups reversed. And this, I'm not going to lie, saying this as a Virgo myself, is going to be a week where we have to face some personal challenges as it relates to the company that we keep. Issues where it might actually be the influence of our environment that requires our attention the most. The company that we keep in terms of people. Are they helping or are they hurting? Is there anyone there at all? Isolation and self-alienation is not always helpful either. For some of you, this may be calling for you to be more active and engaged socially with uplifting and helpful and highly capable people. And for some of you, this is more like, I got to pay attention to the damn herd I have. So that's very much a carryover of kind of what ended up happening. So there was the clearing, right, and the detaching, but throughout the course of this week, there was also a big push to kind of reunite, reconnect, break bread, make some peace actually with my brothers, whom I've had a very estranged relationship with pretty much the entirety of our lives going back to adolescence. I won't go into the extremities of my childhood and family and all of that in this particular video. I want to stay on topic. But this sort of closing alienation and reconnecting and kind of, well, what can be happening here, what can be done here, versus also getting rid of the toxic, which can't be worked with, both on the family side and on the non-family side, social, platonic, and business. And again, there were their fair share of fights and squabbles, really intense letter writing going back and forth, challenging who would come and challenge me, not backing down, throwing things back in people's faces that don't belong being dumped in my world. A lot of that going on, very Three of Cups reversed. And so let's move on and see how things showed up in the material world, right? When it comes to work, job, finances, business, and all of that. Or material circumstances, your work, your job, your finances, practical affairs as it relates to your home and family life. You've got the Six of Swords upright. And it looks like there might be some pushes to get on the move. For some of you, this could be news of literal moves or literal relocations going on. For those of you who have been thinking about that, you've been open to it, or you've been house hunting. But this could also show up in business. This could be moving on from a certain role. A lot of you who may have been looking forward to some kind of promotion or transfer, getting into a different space, a fresh atmosphere, fresh environment. This is absolutely going to be the week where all of that finally starts to get on a roll. And for a lot of you, this is also going to be a time where we are moving away from one kind of material or financial normal into something far superior. Okay, so this one was a big surprise. So this video, right, the actual forecast for the week of June 11th was published on Thursday, the 8th of June. Well, as we got to June 11th itself, June 11th and 12th, a lot of crazy developments actually started showing up for me in both the realm of work and business, but even travel, and so very Six of Swords. I ended up, as part of this sort of effort that kind of popped up out of nowhere of collaborating, connecting with people, ended up in a situation where I'm going to start helping somebody work on developing their business, developing a startup that they've got going on, in addition to all of this that I've got going on here. And things kind of accelerated in terms of their progress, and then very literally in the travel way, Sunday overnight to Monday, I ended up just, well, okay, now we have a ticket to New York, flying out to New York in July to go and really sink my teeth into this opportunity, into this gig. There has been kind of a really big draw for me to expand, get other projects going, not necessarily leave YouTube or anything like that, right? Tarot, magic, astrology, all of that, that's me, that's who I am. I've been doing this before, the internet even existed. Or at least was common to every household, right? We're going back to the late 90s here, so this is in my bones. But I have also been very desirous of an opportunity to expand and also enjoy other passions of mine, and so I ended up actually getting an invitation to fly out to New York. This showed up in a very, very literal way for me. However, it has also shown up figuratively as far as plans for not only future travel and things like that. A friend of mine is also moving back into the state, and he is going to be working with me and somebody else on another big project that's really not going to be a thing until we get closer to the end of the year. But there was a lot of movement and environmental shifts, not only getting set in motion, but also locked in for, as again, the rest of the year. And that is something I definitely would also recommend. The Six of Swords showed up here. It didn't mean I hopped on a plane. When we're doing forecasts, we're seeing what is getting started, what's getting on a roll, maybe not what's beginning and continuing and then transitioning all in one go. It's a very short forecast, so it's important to also keep that in mind. Let's see what went on with community. Comes to community, friends, relatives, and other people in your life. You've got the Hierophant reversed, and you're going to be getting news about some kind of law, commitment, agreement, or status quo that has maybe been running in your social life, in your family life, or possibly in a relationship situation that is going up in smoke. And the end of whatever this law, agreement, ordinance, status quo was, is going to have a very powerful, positive collateral effect on you and everything else going on in your world. Okay, so this showed up again in an extremely literal cut and dry way, and it showed up in a couple of other more abstract ways, but still very much into the core of the prediction. The very literal way that this showed up, when we talk about a shift away from a certain limitation, status quo, kind of a cap that was put on, I had an increase to the credit limit of one of my credit cards just show up out of nowhere as we got to Wednesday and Thursday. And so very much like an old contract, an old agreement, an old set term going through a flip, very much there in a small way, but still something significant and something that caught me by surprise. Another situation that didn't really develop until, again, we got to this last 72 hours or so, did have to do with clearing a lot of old legacies, whether they are social legacies, business legacies, family legacies. That was also a big theme of this last 72 hours, almost like dethroning a lot of old authority figures that maybe left a lot of marks in the life of myself and other people. This is also significant because it's also it's also showing me where I need to go through a bit of a reevaluation of how I want to present myself when it comes to my business. As I said before, I have noticed an uptick in attracting a lot of people that might not necessarily be a good fit for my style, right? The old school, tarot psychic reading style. And so I've been kind of playing around with that. And a couple of people have also been helping me to sort of, all right, this is what you need to implement to change that. So you're not maybe working with the people that you don't want to work with and that probably are not a good fit for you, even for their own sake. Very much, again, a big theme of this week. Talk about the challenge. Your challenge, you've got the Ten of Cups reversed. Be careful to not try to make things look prettier than they really are. The Ten of Cups reversed is all about watching out for things that are misdirecting through the aesthetic of goodness or beauty or health or pleasure, right? Appearances are promises, and promises can get broken. A Rolex gives an impression of something. Your looks give an impression of something. Affirmations, scripted speech, it all gives an impression. And impressions can become promises too, but they could all be, well, just aesthetics, right? And aesthetics are not proof of concept. You need to look deeper, and you got to make sure that you are not getting tricked by anything that is trying so hard to look and sound perfect that it's covering up for something that is anything but. So this both showed up as a warning for me, as far as something that I was actually playing a part in, as well as a warning for me not to fall for in separate instances. So with the Ten of Cups reversed as far as the warning for me, and as you know, I am not the type of person who really gives in to the idea of style can overcompensate for a lack of substance. Obviously, I could probably stand to think about ways to make myself look flashier, to maybe, win over the people that are looking for style over substance. But I don't think those are people that are compatible with me or real spiritual psychic work. This, however, did show up in more of a case where I was humoring somebody that was taking a lot of my words to heart. And again, this is in my personal life. This has nothing to do with online. This has nothing to do with YouTube, where I was allowing toxic behavior to exist and continue. And I was basically trying to put on a good face, clean up after the situation, polish everything so that they could pass for healthy, pass for good, pass for functional when they're not. And so I was essentially scrubbing down the trail of destruction of this person. And I wasn't the only person doing it, but it was sort of a let's humor their delusions about their health and goodness and balance, and at the cost of everybody else's peace of life and sense of security and harmony. And so this was kind of a warning like, hey, you need to stop doing that. You're only making it worse. You are becoming a part of the Ten of Cups reversed problem. So that was challenge number one. And then challenge number two came, which was actually a little bit more cut and dry, but it was also much easier for me. But what this person was trying to get me in on was ultimately a manipulation tactic. They were trying to get me to they were trying to use me to triangulate a situation against another person. And so, but they were trying to make themselves look like the victim. They were trying to make themselves look like the hero. They were trying to make themselves look like the one who was thinking of the highest interest of all concerned when they clearly weren't. And so I ended up shutting that down and even calling it out. And, it's like, look, this is plastic. This is bullshit. I don't give a crap about how many affirmations you pile on yourself. You're the delusional nut job. I won't help you triangulate against this person. So that was a bit more of the easy one to catch. Very Ten of Cups reversed. When it comes to relationships with love, romance, and partnerships, you have the Devil reversed. This week, an adversary is going to be departing your world. The Devil card reversed is all about breaking free from an enemy or an adversarial influence that has been plaguing whatever area of your life it falls into. So in this case, it's your personal life. So for a lot of you who are single or available to new people, this could be the removal of an influence from your past, right? An old relationship or old unfinished business, or maybe even somebody that has been in your space preventing you from being able to take on anything new. This could also indicate the elimination of some kind of obstacle to getting into a relationship that you desire to have, whether that obstacle be time, space, or again, even stuff that has you tied up with old business. For those of you who are coupled or are married, this is indicating the end of an adversarial influence as well. This could be something that was imposed on you and your partner, or something imposed on your family. This could even be, yes, another person, an in-law, a family member, yours or theirs. Something that has been a pervasive toxic influence or thorn in your side is going bye-bye. So this card showed up multifold this week in the form of confronting an adversary that has been a serious problem as it relates to my personal life. And that is, funny enough, this house, this living situation. Now, for those of you who do watch my videos where I open up and I get more personal on integrative mysticism, I've been very open about how this is not really the house I wanted to be in. It's always been kind of a huge problem for me. And I know that sounds kind of weird. It's a nice house. It's very bright. It's great for somebody else. But as far as the setup, as far as the atmosphere, as far as the part of town, as far as just everything to do with it on an environmental and energetic level, I've just never felt at home here. I've always felt like a guest. I've always felt like an outsider. And that can really hurt you, as far as just your quality of life is concerned. The living arrangement itself, it has been a very serious obstruction for me when it comes to my personal life and my desires for my personal life in the future, personal life I want to have. And so over the course of this week, a lot of work has been getting done on sort of removing this from my world. And again, I talked about that on integrative mysticism a few months back. I was talking about the plans of a big move, buying a house later on in the year. But with the Devil card reversed, this has been sort of the week where it's like, no, if it's that plan has got to be moved up now. And so here we go. And so that is my week, as my week has been from June 11th until now, the 18th. Again, I do recommend that you keep track of things as, they develop throughout the week. These are predictive future forecasts. Keep an open mind and never look at predictions or psychic work or your world through a tunnel vision lens of your own bubble or your own narrative, because you can be surprised about how some of these things show up. I never expected to buy a ticket to fly out to New York. I never thought the move was going to be moved up. I didn't see my credit limit getting boosted up on my credit card. You know, you got to allow for some things to surprise you in a very, very good way, or maybe sometimes even in a very hectic way. So, anywho, let me know what you think. I just wanted to make sure I got this up there and out there for you folks. How did your last week go? And, you know, maybe do some deep digging, right? This is going to require introspection. Tarot and astrology has always been for the scholars, the mystics, the psychics, and the deep thinkers. It's only been in recent history that it's sort of, you know where I'm going with that. When you know, so don't let anyone make you think it's something that it's not, or that it's supposed to operate a way that it can't. This is something that can be profoundly mystical and very helpful and enlightening, but we just got to remember to introspect every once in a while and be open to what these events and these shifts show us. So that is what I've got for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm going to get this up and off to you. And if you ever want to get a session with me, tarot or astrology, I like to do both at the same time, honestly, you can just go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.